Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'll be going over how to build an AI chat app using React, Flask, and the Llama 3 Ollama large language model. So to demonstrate, this is how our app is going to be in the end. We'll be able to send a message, let's say hello, and the AI is going, or the app is going to fetch the backend, Flask, and Flask is going to fetch the Ollama API, and it's going to return us with whatever text the AI sends. So today we'll be building this. So before we start programming the actual app, you want to make sure that you've got Ollama installed. And to install it, just go to the link in the description and click download. And once you've done that, open up your terminal. Hold on. Alright. Open up your terminal and you want to type Ollama run llama 3. And once it's going to install, once it's installed, it should let you send a message. And when it says this, you can just do /by. And now we can start programming. Alright, so I've opened up a folder inside of VS Code, and we need to open up the terminal, and in the terminal we can type to make our server directory. We can do mkdir server. We can go to server and we can do touch main.py. Great. And the Python, the imports that we're going to need to install is going to be pip3 install. So we're going to need Flask. We're also going to need Flask _ cores, and we're also going to need Ollama. Great. Once you've done that, we can cd out of it, and we can do npm create v at latest. We can call this the client, select React, JavaScript, and alright. So once this installs, it should run it for us. And I'll come back when it's done. Alright, once it's done installing, just close the terminal. We don't really need it. And what we need to focus on right now is actually the main.py. So we're gonna program the main.py, the server first, and then after we're done, we can move on to the front end. Okay, for our main.py code, we're going to first simply just import the things that we need. Then we're going to set up the route, and in there we're going to have a try catch block or a try except, and in there we're basically going to parse the HTML or the JSON that we get from the front end, and then we're going to fetch it into the API. So let's begin. So we'll do from Flask import Flask request and JSONify. We'll do from Flask cores import cores, and we'll do from Ollama import chat and chat response. Now we can set up the app, so we can initialize it. Great. And we can set up the cores. The origin is going to be the URL for the front end. So for us, it's just localhost 5173. Okay, now we can set up the route. We'll call this the AI, and we will make the methods be post, and we'll make the function, and in here we're gonna have a try and an accept. So we're gonna have a try catch block. And in the try, let's first actually analyze whatever we get from the front end. So we're going to do request, request JSON is equal to request.getJSON. So this is just getting the JSON from the front end whenever we actually get it. And this is going to be checking. So now we're going to be checking if we have message instead of the JSON, which we will have once we actually send the request to the backend once we program the front end. So we'll do if request JSON and message in request JSON. So if we do have that, then we can get the response from Ollama. So we'll do chat response is equal to chat. The model that we're gonna be using is the one that we downloaded, Llama 3, and then messages. This is just gonna be a simple object with the role that we send the message as being the user, and the content that we send, and this is just going to be request JSON, and in here we're going to have a message. There we go. So now once we get all of this, we can send it back. So we'll do return JSONify the reply. Hold on, this is supposed to be an object. This is going to say reply, and the message that we send is the response.message.content. And however, if we do have an error, then we can actually no. So now we can move on to the accept block. So in the accept block, we'll just we'll first print error, and then let's make this a AF block. So we'll say error, and then here we're going to put the error, and then we're going to return a JSONify with the reply, and the reply is going to be error, and here we'll just put E. Great. Now we can actually run the app. So we'll do if name is equal to main, then we're going to do app.run debug is equal to true, and we will use the port. Let's just make the port 5001. Great. So once you've got all this done, we're basically done with the server, and now we can begin programming the front end. And I'm actually going to run the server, so that way we'll just get it over with. So we'll do cd server python 3 main.py, and if you're on Windows, it's just Python. So once we've got this, click the X, and we can begin programming the app.jsx. Okay, for our React code, before we actually run the app, let's program the whole thing. It's not going to be too long. It's only about 50 lines, and after this, we can run it and we can see our app work. Great. So first, I'm going to delete everything, and I'm going to generate some boilerplate code, and we're going to import from React. We're also going to import useState. And in our app function, we're going to make 3 states: text, messages, and loading. And we're going to do messages, so we'll do const messages set messages, and this is going to be an array. And we're going to do loading, so once the user puts in something, we want to set loading to be true, so that way we can display anything that we can actually display the loading message. So now let's also make a async function. Hold on, asynchronous function. Let's just call this send message, and before we program the function, let's just program the simple HTML, and then afterwards we're going to make a button which calls this function, and then we can just program the function. So in the return, we can just have one div, and in this div we're going to have 2 different divs. So the first div is to display the messages, the second div will be used as the input, and between these divs let's actually put a ternary operator which checks, so if it's loading. So if it is loading, then we can just display a p tag which says loading. And we're going to set loading as true whenever the user clicks like a button that says send. Great. Now in the div below the loading, we can simply just make a form. So we can do form, and we're going to delete the action, and we're going to set this to be instead on submit. We're going to call the send message function, and in the form we can have an input. The type is text. We can set the placeholder to be enter message. I think I spelled that wrong, but whatever. And we can do on change. We can make a function which set text to be e.target.value. And then we can also do value of this is going to be text. So I'm going to save this. There we go. Great. And below this input, let's also have a button, which is going to be used to submit. And let's just have the text in the button say send. Great. Now that we've got this, we can program our actual messages div where all the messages will be displayed, and then we can program the send message function. And to program the div for the actual messages, it's just going to be a simple mapping function, which will go through the entire array and display it as the as an index. So we'll do messages.map, and in here we can just put the message, so, and the index, and in here we can put a div, and in this div we're gonna need to have a key because that's how React likes it. And then in here we can put a strong tag, which just has the message.role, so like the role of the message, and then after this we'll just have the message.content. Great. Now we can save this, and we can actually try running this and seeing how it works, or how it looks. So we'll cd into the client npm run dev. There we go. And let's open up a browser. So there we go. Now let me refresh, and there we go. So it looks pretty similar to the example that I was showing you, so that's pretty good. I'm also gonna open up the inspect element just in case we get any errors. Open up as the console and just clear it for now. It's not really important. Now we can open up VS Code, and now we can actually program the actual function. So we're gonna need an event for this one, and in the function we can first do e.prevent default, so that way it doesn't refresh randomly, and we're going to set loading to be true, and then we're going to check, so if text.trim is equal to nothing, then we will just return nothing. And then we're going to set the messages. So inside of this array, we're going to add the message that the user just sent. So we're going to take the previous message, and then we're going to run a function which gets the previous message, and it's going to add a new one with the role being the user, and the content of the message being whatever text that is in the state above there. And now we can actually fetch, so we'll do const response is equal to await fetch. And in here we're going to put http localhost 5001/AI, and we're going to make this an object in here. And in here we're going to put the method as post. We're going to make the headers, we're going to make the headers a content-type application-json, and then we're going to add a body tag which takes the JSON. We're going to stringify it, and we're going to send it as the message and text. Great. Now once we've got the response, we can set it to data, so we'll do const data is equal to await res.json, and then we will do set messages. So we're going to take the previous message, and we're going to run a mapping function, and we're going to take the role of this. Hold on, this is supposed to be an ellipses, my bad. So we're going to take the role of this, and we're going to set this as the AI, and we're going to set the content that we get back. There we go. Now once we've got this, we can set the loading to be false. Now we can save this and we can try running. So open up the browser, refresh, clear the console, and let's say hello. Alright, so it is loading, and let's see. Hold on. Let's actually make sure that the main.py is running also. So take this. So yeah, the main.py is running. Okay, but looks like we're actually not displaying anything. So it's just going loading. Well, let me go to the network to see if it's actually working. So it's running, and we are, let's see if we're actually getting something back. So yeah, it looks like we are getting something back, but it's not displaying. So let me actually see what happened, and then I will get back with you guys. Alright, so the error was actually pretty simple. We had the parentheses here was actually curly brackets. So just make sure that these are parentheses and not like curly brackets like this, or else it's not gonna work. So we can save this and we can try rerunning this, and as you can see, if we say hello, it'll say loading and our message will show, and the AI message will also show. So there we have it, guys. This is just a simple AI text app that you can build with Flask, React, and the Llama 3 Ollama API. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all on the next one.